Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back. I hope you are having a fabulous day. I have another in-depth perfume review to share in this video. We are going to be talking about Oakcha Watermelon Jam. Before we get into Watermelon Jam, I did review the Oakcha Peach Rings earlier today. When I shared my first Oakcha haul, I put a little poll over on my community tab and asked you guys which of these Oakcha fragrances you were interested in seeing reviews of first. And honestly, the Peach Rings won, but Watermelon Jam was right behind the Peach Rings. So I thought today, since I have a little bit of extra time on my hands, that I would go ahead and just upload both videos on the same day. So anyway, in this video, we're going to talk about the Watermelon Jam, but if you want to know more about Peach Rings and also learn a little bit more about just the Oakcha brand, I talked more in depth about just the brand itself in the Peach Rings video, so check that out. It'll be linked in the description box down below. I'm not gonna get into too much detail about Oakcha as a brand overall in this video. I will, however, mention that Oakcha is a I like to call these dupe brands, but I don't think they like being referred to as that. This is a perfume house that takes its inspiration, if you will, from a lot of higher end brands like Tom Ford, Le Labo, Creed, Lancome, Gucci. You name the high-end fragrance house, they probably have a dupe of it at Oakcha. They have a lot of the really popular fragrances available. And what's fantastic is that the price point is significantly lower than the high-end designer houses price their products. So if you want to enjoy a Tom Ford fragrance, but you don't have, like, what are they, $350 laying around to spend on maybe the Soleil Blanc or the Bitter Peach, I believe you can actually find both at Oakcha. So I would say grab the Tom Ford dupe. Also, Oakcha's cruelty-free, which is fantastic, right? Tom Ford is not. I also want to say that they do use an extrait oh, and there's my dog. I have an assistant. That's Penny the pug, by the way. They do use an extrait de parfum formulation. What that means is that they are using a 30% oil concentration in their perfume formulations. Most eau de parfums are somewhere in the 10 to 15% range, I believe is what I said. So these are quite potent little bottles of goodness here. A little bit goes a long way. We will talk about the overall, like, strength of this fragrance, the projection, the lasting power as well, but we'll get to that part towards the latter part of the video here. So without further ado, we are going to read through the fragrance notes, and I decided to go ahead and grab my iPad for this one because the fragrance notes weren't showing up properly when I was reading them on my phone. So we went with the iPad for this one. All right, you guys. So the top notes here read sweet watermelon, green pear, and fresh water. The heart or middle notes, if you will, are jasmine petals, red berries, and melon flower. The base notes are sugared cedarwood, creamy sandalwood, and musk. So I'm going to tell you guys what I smell from this fragrance. Now, this is probably potentially going to vary from the fragrance notes that you detect with your nose. Everybody's nose is slightly different, and we all perceive different fragrance notes differently. So do keep that in mind. There is a Candy Collection sampler that I would wholeheartedly recommend you try out if you're at all unsure about any of these fragrances or which one to choose. The sampler gives you the opportunity to actually try the fragrance on your skin. The samplers are $12. They're super affordable and could prevent you from buying a full size of a bottle of a fragrance that, I don't know, really isn't your jam, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray this on. One of the things that I love about this brand is this atomizer. Ooh, this sprayer is fabulous, you guys. And oh man, listen, if you are a watermelon girly, you have to try this one. It is so unique and interesting. Honestly, I think the entire candy collection, at least the 3 that I have here, are very unique and very interesting. I don't think I have anything else in my collection that are quite like these 3 fragrances. And as someone who has a major sweet tooth, man, I love to smell like candy. I love to eat it. I love to smell like candy. And this is a beautiful kind of candied watermelon scent that honestly has been rocking my world. So what are the notes that are most prominent to my nose? First of all, when you first spray this, the very first thing that hits your nose is the watermelon, at least for me. I would be surprised if someone sprayed this on and they didn't smell watermelon first. It's like you're getting the meat of the watermelon, or the red part. I don't know what that part of the fruit is called. I'm calling it the meat of the fruit. But you also get a little bit of that green rind in there as well. So you're getting that super sweet, intense, like midsummer fresh watermelon, along with a little bit of that crisp kind of green rind note. And it's actually quite nice to have both of those together. They pair really well. Now, I will say pear is definitely a fragrance note that is present in here. At first, I was a little hesitant or turned off by the pear because for whatever reason, oftentimes my nose perceives pear almost as a like body odor type note. And what's funny is I've actually had people tell me that peach fragrances come off as BO to their noses. So like everybody has kind of those funky notes where your nose is just like, I don't know that this agrees with me. I think this is one of the few times where I have found that the pear note really works. This is a very crisp pear note. It's not a super ripe pear note. I would say this smells almost like an unripened Anjou pear. So it smells maybe a little bit more green than a regular ripe pear would. I think when the pear is a really ripe type of pear note, that's where my nose tends to go BO. But when it's a more crisp, like unripened pear, my nose just smells that like green pear type fragrance note. So happy to say I smell the green, crisp, slightly unripened pear for sure. In terms of the fresh water, there is kind of an interesting like aquatic note in here for sure. But I don't think that this comes across as like a mix of a fruity and fresh. I think it's more fruity and a touch of fresh, not fruity and fresh, if that makes sense. The middle notes, all right, here we go. First of all, I don't pick up either of the floral notes, you guys. There is jasmine in here as well as the melon flower. Nothing screams floral to this, to my nose at all. I don't smell anything floral. But I do smell the same like strawberry raspberry concoction that I got in the peach rings and the watermelon jam as well. I really kind of like that because I tend to really love strawberry and raspberry when it comes to home fragrance, is where I typically smell it the most. But also I like to experience that in personal fragrance as well. So I'm really glad to have the addition of the red berries. But honestly, the focus, it is on that watermelon. Like that's predominantly what you're getting here, with just some hints of like the other fragrance notes that I'm mentioning. Sugared cedarwood. There's no cedarwood at all in here, sugared or otherwise, to my nose. So I'm just not picking it up. Creamy sandalwood. I do think there is the tiniest touch of maybe like a slightly woody, really light sandalwood note. It is very, very faint. It's not something that I think most people would really even like necessarily smell the first time they're sticking their nose in the fragrance. You have to apply it. You have to allow the fragrance to really dry down for about 10-15 minutes. That's when that slight sandalwood note becomes a little bit more evident to me. I think it's nice, but also if the fragrance didn't have the sandalwood, I think I would still enjoy it just as much. And in terms of the musk, this is not a musky fragrance at all. This is definitely one of those scents where the musk, I think, plays a supporting role to some of the other fragrances in terms of boosting those up. But if I were to break this down in its simplest terms, This is a really fruity, delicious, yummy watermelon. And if you are in the market for a type of fragrance like this for the summer, honestly, I cannot recommend this one enough. I really love the peach rings as well, but if you are a watermelon girly, you gotta check this one out. It is so unique, it's so interesting. Like I said, I have nothing I can compare this to in my current collection. I've never smelled anything quite like this. It kind of is a very youthful, fun, vibrant, just really lovely summertime fragrance. So like I said, if you're in the market for something new, this $30 perfume might be a great one to check out. In terms of the overall projection, lasting power, it's just as great as the peach ring, you guys. With that extrait de parfum formulation, you are getting quite a bit of wear out of this. Typically between 6 and 7 hours is the wear time that I've been getting from this candy collection, even the Pink Euphoria. Right around that 7-hour mark is where I really start noticing it like waning a lot more, and I'm definitely inclined to reapply. But that's a long way to go before even wanting to reapply the fragrance, at least from my experience. I tend to like my fragrances to be a little bit more obvious, a little bit more noticeable, and so for me, I pay pretty close attention to you know, to the wear time and whether I can still smell the fragrance. This is one that I have not at all become nose blind to. I think because it's so new to me in terms of, you know, like this being so different from what I normally gravitate towards. Like it's been really great for me in terms of the overall wear. I've gotten a couple of compliments on the Candy Collection perfume so far. So I think they are kind of a nice, universal, happy type of fragrance that I think a lot of different people would probably enjoy. So if you're looking for something fruity, something fun, check out the Oakcha Candy Collection. And like I said, make sure that you just grab the sampler if you're at all unsure about the fragrance notes. That's gonna be the very best way for you to try these fragrances. I will link Oakcha in the description box down below. It's not a referral link or anything like that. I purchased these fragrances when they were having a 20% off sale, and honestly, my experience has been so positive so far that I will be trying more from them in the very near future. So let me know what your favorite fragrance from Oakcha is in the comments down below. Let me know if there's anything that I must try from this particular brand. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me know if you have any questions. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.